Alright, so y'all seen the title, you know what I mean? This video seemed like it would have been interesting to, you know what I mean, react to. You feel me? It's black Christians versus black Muslims. Why did I find this video interesting? Because it's black Christians versus black Muslims, you know what I mean? Now, I don't necessarily consider myself neither Christian or Muslim, but I do know something about these two, you know what I mean? And I know somebody else who knows something about these two. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Jocelyn.
Yeah, I brought Jocelyn back on for another video. For any of my newer viewers, you know what I mean? Because I do have returning viewers, you know what I mean? I got to talk to everybody, you know. For my newer viewers, which is probably going to be most of y'all, go check out my other videos, you know what I mean? She's in some of my other videos as well, so it's pretty dope. I don't got too much else to say. Like, subscribe, comment, you feel me? And yeah, let's just get to the video.
Only Allah can judge them, not anybody else here. Nobody, none of you guys can judge anybody or what they are, they're gay, whatever, what it is.
I'm not judging them, I'm judging the act.
No, but you say this, what is the act? Same thing with Christianity and Christianity, like you say the same
what I'm
thing.
saying,
Like,
sexual sin, right, is a sin.
but Christianity again.
It seems like it's gonna be interesting though.
If you don't follow my religion, then you will go to hell.
Don't follow my religion, you will go to hell. That's interesting.
You know, my religion and Christianity, I always reference the Bible because that's the book that we're supposed to read. And in the Bible it says, Jesus says this, he says, there is no way to the Father except through me. Mm-hmm. So when I read that literal, as in you can't get to heaven, you can't get to the Father who owns the kingdom of heaven except through me, who is Jesus. And so when you ask the question, if you don't follow my religion, will you go to hell? I think that it says it clearly right there.
People always look at when Christians...
You know what, I feel like, Justin, do you got anything to say about that?
I mean, I feel like I personally agree because I do read the Bible, and just to start off with, I consider myself Christian. That way it's like easier to categorize myself, but I don't follow the religion, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I say that I follow Jesus, not the religion, just for your viewers out there.
Right. And that's why I asked you too, because I was thinking like, dang, he's saying if you don't follow the religion, you feel me? But I know when we've had like our, you know, talks about this stuff, you know what I mean? You would be like, It's about following God. You know what I mean? About following Jesus, you know what I mean? Right. I know. I just want
if it says if you follow my religion, that's like, now if you would have said something, if they would have said something like if you don't follow like Jesus, you know, then I feel like, you know, that makes a difference in a way.
With that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I just, you know, I knew you would have something to say about that.
Christians have this belief that we have. It's a matter of being like, oh, you're going to heaven, oh, you're going to hell, as far as it's a punishment from God. No, you chose not to believe in God. Like, and so it's actually an act of God's kindness to say, if you don't want to be with me, then I'm not going to force you to be with me. Like, there's another place for you, but there's no purgatory. So there's no middle ground, gray room, lawn chair with a newspaper. It's heaven or hell. And so God is saying, if you don't want me, then I'm not going to force you to want me.
Right.
I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. I'm not God, right? It's our belief that everything that we experience in this life that is good comes from God. Hell would be the absence of anything good and the God that makes it good.
Right. It says in the scriptures that the goodness of God leads to repentance.
That's right.
And so we need to be focusing on not whether we're going to hell if we don't follow the law, right? But it really is about enjoying the fruits of life and the abundance of who He is, and making the most of our time here by, you know, sharing the gospel and, you know, making disciples of all nations.
As Christians, our approach is to always lead in love, and I don't think that's what, I think a lot of us are learning how to, but I think that that's what Jesus charges us to do, because even with that vein of judgment, it's an identification that if you don't believe in Jesus, then hell is where you go. Now, it is not on us to say, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. We're actually supposed to be like, you want to go to lunch? Like, you need a hug. Like, let's go get coffee.
You know what? I'm actually glad they mentioned like all of that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people who do. Now, I'm not necessarily against I'm not against any religion myself. You know what I mean? I like religions, but at the same time, I do see like a lot of people who are in like religious leaders and everything like that who do try to put themselves up there as if they are God. You know what I mean? Try to ridicule people in some ways. You know what I mean? I was actually even talking to my sister about, you know, something kind of like this as well. And she was talking to me about how there was a pastor, and somebody, you know, some of my viewers might know what I'm talking about as well. It was a pastor who made a woman who got pregnant without being married. She got pregnant, and the pastor made her get up on stage and just start apologizing to the crowd. You know what I mean? Like, as if she just really did something to everybody else, you know? And I was like, well, that's not... I don't think that's how you would want to handle that, you know? She got pregnant, you know what I mean? The last thing you want to do is just make her, you feel me, feel bad about the fact that happened, you know what I mean? Shoot. Maybe help her do something else, and and that's why I just wanted to, give my little 2 cents on what she was talking about. That was kind of dope that she, mentioned that. You got anything to say about that?
Not really.
Okay.
Like, and I feel like for me, I always feel the charge to reassure people that Jesus loves them, because he does, and he loves you before you were even on this earth, because he formed you. And so even in you not choosing him, he always chooses you. And it actually is vexing that you choose not to choose him. Preach. Because it's like, I love you so much. Like, I created you, and I wish you knew how much I cared about you. And so it's important for us as Christians to operate in that vein. We're not here to judge, we're not here to condemn, and we're not excelling anybody out of anything. It's just a matter of identifying what Jesus says it is and what it's not.
You have to disagree, step forward.
It's out of here.
Relaxer.
Follow it up. Christians clearly believe. We disagree with the content of your belief. That's different, though. That's not the fact that you believe in God. I don't think you ask a Christian, do you believe in God? They say no. Same thing for Jews. So I just think, just from the basis of our religion, it's just a wrong position to take, that if you're not a Muslim, you're going to go to hell.
But could that be based off of your moral stance as a person? Because, and I could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe there's a text in the Quran that talks about if a Muslim sins and is in hell, then Allah will replace them with a Jew or a Christian in their place. That's a hadith? Okay.
Yeah, that's a hadith. And it's weak. It's weak in terms of that's a whole field of study, but no, that's not a teaching of our Quran. Yeah.
I just want to follow up with, there's a lot that was said about Christ is the only way.
What is a hadith? Saying an action of Prophet Muhammad. It is a central source of Islamic theology and law, considered second only to the Quran in importance. Each hadith consists of texts ascribed to Muhammad and a chain of transmission. I didn't get a single bit of information that just told me. I think what it's trying to tell me is it's not as important.
My wife, who she grew up Christian, mainly her whole life. When she reverted to Islam, one of the biggest things that she said to me was, I feel like I'm in religion, in my life, that I'm able to follow Christ better. In Islam, it's pointing back to Christ. There's nothing that's not pointing back there. If you read the Quran, it's the stories that's in the Bible. And as a matter of fact, in the Quran, it says that the Torah and the Gospel were revealed by God, by Allah. So it's not, if the idea is you have to go through Christ, we're not void of that. Now, is Christ God, is Christ prophet? That's where, through Christ, that's where everyone debates on what that means. But there's the Quran is not separate from the idea that the Torah and the Gospel came. Moses is the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. So ultimately, that's why I think when you say, if you're not with my religion, well, even in Christianity, there's a plethora of different ways people approach religion as far as Christ. There's so many different type of denominations. There's thousands of understandings of God. So when you say religion, it's kind of like, well, you know, mathematics says 2 plus 2 can equal 4, 1 plus 3 could equal 4, 4 plus 0 could equal 4. And we can all argue about who has the right formula, but if we pay attention, we can recognize that there's different ways to get to the same answer. And sometimes when you say religion, there's just a different way to go about it. God, Allah, these are languages. You get what I'm saying? So ultimately, I feel like what I love about Islam is that it's not running away from Christ. It believes that it's more clarifying Christ. The Quran's written in a way, with the Bible, with all the different types of Bibles there are, with Constantine, King James, with just the different people who've got their hands on it. The Quran, and no disrespect, but the Quran, what I love about it is that the original Arabic text is right there. That's just one thing that's just like, okay, if all else fails, just in translation alone, you can lose things.
Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
And then on top of that, one word in English can mean so many different things in Arabic. So there's footnotes at the bottom for the scholar to explain historically.
What they're saying,
just, you know, and I just respect that idea of when you're going to talk to me about someone who is important as Christ, explain yourself at the bottom, have the original text there for us to verify through. The Quran is written in a way to be able to protect Christ's word. And so ultimately, I believe when you say religion, I think it is a judgmental thing because we're not sure what is following Christ exactly.
Just, but like, how?
Man, hold on. I like that thing that he said at the end. What is following Christ? You know what I mean? Let me go on my little rant real quick. You know what I mean? I feel like we don't actually understand what it is to be a follower of Christ. You know what I mean? At least in the Bible's way, because you know how everybody has like their own interpretation, you know what I mean? Right. Everybody kind of has their own idea of what the Bible is and what it does, you know? Now, of course, you got some people who follow behind some of their religious leaders and be like, okay, this is what the Bible is because they said this is what the Bible is. And that's kind of why I kind of dropped that, okay, I'm just not, I can't be considered a Christian at all in any way. You know what I mean? Because I don't really like. Jocelyn, can you tell me what the heck I was just saying? Because I legit forgot what the heck my words were. And yeah. And since people have like all these different interpretations of the Bible, it's like, it's kind of hard to like I remember when I was trying to do it, I was kind of lost. You know what I mean? Yes, I was reading the Bible heavy, you know what I mean? I was flipping through trying to read, but I was lost, you know, and I didn't necessarily know where to look, you know what I mean? And even if I did go to like some of these religious people, you know, I go on the internet, everybody has all these different interpretations. I don't know who to listen to. You know what I mean? And that's why it's like, nah, I'm gonna just kind of do my own thing, and I guess you could call it my own religion. I don't know, but
I guess in a way, I feel like that's why I don't consider like I said before, Christianity. I only say that to myself to just put myself in a box. So it's easier for other people, right? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I think like you have to have a connection with like God, right, to understand the Bible. At least that's how I feel, because you can read the Bible all you want, but if you don't feel that connection or that understanding, you're just reading for like just to see the words. You're not really understanding the words.
Yeah. Right.
Which is like people at church, more than likely they teach a certain way. I'm pretty sure like in each church it's like different depending on like the denomination of what it is. Mm-hmm. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Right.
And so people will grow up to follow that instead of actually trying to go off on their own and trying to find that personal connection, I feel like.
Right. They think of it as just a religion and not an actual connection with God.
Right, because I feel like if you wait patiently and if you actually like listen, I would say, I feel like you'll feel that connection at least to certain parts.
Mm-hmm. All right. Huh? None, Jocelyn. My sister just walked in my room. Can you bring it? I'm gonna get it. Tell me I'm gonna get it, and then I'm gonna. All right. Dang. But yeah, you feel me? Dang, I could have cut all types of stuff out the video. Jesus Christ. Anyways, dang. Actually, no, I'm not cutting that out. You know, I like it when people walk in my room. But yeah, You feel me? Dang, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh my god. I'm gonna just play the video. Just keep going. Let me just keep going.
Like, how does one that practices Islam, how do they get to heaven or hell? Like, what is the way?
Most people are living in a world of myth. You know, that's not really, that's the way that religion is taught. Like, do good, go to heaven. Be bad, go to hell. When you actually look at, and I've read from Christian scholars like N.T. Wright as well, they've talked about this, that really, when you look at the scripture, it's all about, you know, Adam was put on the earth to cultivate the life on the earth. And he went wrong on the earth, and the kingdom will be established on the earth.
Can I correct you real quick? He was put in the Garden of Eden, not the earth. But
that was on the earth.
I don't think so. Not from what I believe. I don't think the Garden of Eden was on earth, because when he got
like, that's what I was just talking about. We were just talking about that. Like, everybody has their own interpretation of this stuff.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. You feel me? You don't know what exactly you're supposed to follow in the whole, like, Christianity thing. You know what I mean? You kind of have to follow yourself. You know, you have to be your own leader. You know, and that's what you were saying, you know? Being your own leader and building that connection with God. You feel me?
And that's why I feel like, you know, in heaven, you know, when you have, like, Judgment Day, for, like, you know, Christians and whatnot.
Right.
Like, Judgment Day. I'm pretty sure, like God knows your heart. He knows your intentions. Right. So he will know that you were just doing the best that you could with the knowledge that you had at the time.
Right. You feel me? Like, well, I mean, we're all sinners, so shoot. You feel
me? Yeah.
Right. You feel me?
I'm just quoting them.
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but it was, that's fine. It was high. That's why the rivers came from it, because it was elevated, but it was a part of the earth. We've forgotten that we're supposed to make our life on this earth better. So like in Jewish tradition, for example, like in Islamic tradition, every time a man marries a woman, it's a replication of the garden. It begins in a home. We believe that those children, like one of our teachings is that heaven lies at the foot of mother, because those children that are under her care, that is paradise. They're heavenly. They don't come here. Now, this may be a difference with you, but from our view, they don't come here wanting sin and say, let me get some beer. They're good people. Have you all ever seen that? I mean, they come, they're sweet, they want to be loved, they want to give love. And our job is to cultivate that, create an environment that allows for that to grow and flourish, and ultimately extend that to the world. So how does that happen? The same values that most of us get when we're children, you know, be respectful, don't lie, you know, don't steal.
Don't drink, do that, yeah.
All of these things that I think everyone kind of knows. It creates an environment, or it has the capacity and the potential to create an environment for human beings that is heavenly. What happens after we die is the result of that.
I can't get down with Islam. For me personally, the reason why I can't accept it is because there's no guarantee of salvation. And so I can be
really quick, what do you mean when you say that?
When I say there's no guarantee of salvation, I'm saying that I can stand before Allah as a model Muslim, and he can choose, because of my sinful nature, he can choose to still send me to hell. That's what I've read out of the Quran. I could be wrong. You could reject that premise entirely. But for me, I can't. Even heard of that. With Christianity, the guarantee of salvation is in the personification of Jesus Christ, his death, burial, and resurrection. Yeah. And like I said before, I mentioned that verse from Corinthians, he that knew no sin became sin so that we might become the righteousness of God. That tells me as a Christian that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to try to be perfect. I don't try to be like Christ because he's asking me to. I'm trying to be like Christ because that is the best way to be. Just as a blanket statement, it's the best way to be. It's the best way to be loving, to be kind. In Galatians 5, it talks about the fruit of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. There are people who are not Christians that operate that way. So I'm not saying that that's unique to Christianity. Any Christian worth their salt would say, no, It's not a religion, it's a way of life, it is a lifestyle, it is a relationship.
Yeah.
That's a buzzword. I know you've heard Christians say like, it's a relationship, it's not a religion. But if you're truly walking with Jesus, you understand that it is in fact a walk with a friend.
Yeah.
And the more you
Father
walk
and
with that friend, you become like him.
I first and foremost believe that none of us have really truly seen God in his form, like God and who his true form is. And I can't believe anyone who is a monotheist would see God and deny him. And when I think of it that way, I think of it in the context that also when you think about it, the way that the stories are brought across, right? Like a lot of these stories start in the Middle East per se, right? And it storms out into different specks of the earth. When you think of it that way, there's people who have never heard the gospel, they've never heard the Torah, they've never heard the Quran, they've never have any knowledge of these things, but they have a feeling that there is a God. I don't personally believe that that person is going to be condemned to hell. There's so much that we can only fathom so much from the scriptures of the word, and I think that's why it was revealed in Hebrew, in Aramaic, and in Arabic. There's also the Sumerian I'm still trying to understand, but even then when you try to take from Sumerian that goes to Hebrew, you could have a sentence that says, he jumped over the fence, and then you bring it all the way over into English, and that sentence is saying a whole different thing. That sentence is saying he drove his car over into the water. Like, this is just the way that language, broken the Tower of Babel, how all these things, languages work, it's just like that. And I think that there's a level of intent that I think that is there, and I think that's the beauty of the perfection of God.
It's dope. Let's see, what's this next
does more for the black community than the other?
Oh, that's a good question. My religion does more for the black community. What?
I never thought about this.
I never thought about this neither.
When Islam makes its presence known to the black community, primarily through the Nation of Islam, first and foremost, that's when we begin to see certain critical changes, such as our even wanting to be called black. We didn't even want to be called black once upon a time.
Sure.
We didn't even want to look like ourselves. So there was a hatred of ourselves, no fault of our own, to be fair, but the proper medicine to relieve us of that ill. We don't see the process, that process taking place until the coming of the Nation of Islam. Even someone like James Cone, who sort of structured or put together black liberation theology, he openly admitted it. He said, look, we knew Malcolm and those guys were right. So I had to create something. He says it like this. I had to find the message of Christ speaking to black people. And essentially, now this is with due respect to him as a great theologian, all he did was just restructure Nation of Islam arguments. When we look at the church, we can see great efforts, but most of those...
Okay. So I do want to talk about this really quickly, and I don't want to like push no political or anything like that, you know. So disclaimer, you feel me? I don't want to push any of my own personal views. You feel me? I know that this might not have anything to do with what he is specifically talking about. You know what I mean? And I don't know, but yeah, you feel me? This might not have to do anything with what he's talking about. But what I know from Christianity, you feel me? Christianity was used as a weapon. Religion was used as a weapon against a lot of black people, especially in slavery, you know what I mean, and all of those other things. And in a way, the Christianity kind of kept us down. And I'm not going to go into the whole spiel about how and why and what happened, you know what I mean? Y'all can do y'all's own research for yourself, you know what I mean? It has held black people down in a way, you know what I mean? Because we hold on to this religion so tightly as if it's like, you feel me? We kind of let people, even when we were out of slavery, you feel me? Christianity and all that other stuff holding us back once more, you know what I mean? We see people like, and not bashing any of like the great leaders or nothing like that, you know, the great black leaders like Martin Luther King, you feel me? As we know, he was Christian, you feel me? That's probably, I don't know much about him. That's probably why he was on the non-violent, not, you know, trying to basically talk black people's way to freedom. You know what I mean? Give great speeches, you know what I mean? Not bashing him or anything. He did great things. You know what I mean? No doubt. He definitely changed and moved people. You feel me? But as you see, you have people like the Black Panthers who they probably still had a lot of Christians in everything like that, but they weren't necessarily on the same let's hold Christianity above what we're trying to work for. You know what I mean? The Black Panthers held what they're trying to work for above the whole Christianity and religion. You know what I mean? So, if anything, yes, Christianity, in the context of this, I think they're mostly trying to say, like, okay, my religion has helped the black community. It doesn't say that in there, but if we're just kind of using, you know, our intuitive minds, it's probably asking, okay, it's done more, you know, and which one has done more? You feel me? And I would say, in a positive effect, probably the Muslim. You know what I mean? For a positive effect, because Christianity, no hate to Christianity. Christianity definitely has its good things. You know what I mean? If you follow it, that's good. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, don't let that hold you back. You feel me? Now, nowadays, you can follow it. You don't got to worry about anything. You know what I mean? But don't let somebody just control you with that religion. Because that's what they did with black people. Research. Right. You feel me? People like to... I'm not going to say what. You feel me? But there is a history of black people being controlled by that religion. And I'm not going to go into a whole spiel because I could go on about that for, you know, a couple of hours. You feel me? But I just wanted to get my 2 cents on that. You feel me? Yeah.
Those efforts from our view.
Was there anything that you wanted to say before I...
No, not really. You covered everything.
Okay.
Have to do with assimilation. But every great movement to stand us up as a people, as an independent group of standing in our own dignity and sense of value and worth, I've seen it come from Muslims.
First thing I'm gonna say is there's a lot of faith and there's a lot of fact when it comes to stuff. And I think my faith is more determined off of the facts. I feel like if God gives us religion as his relationship to us as people, then that should cultivate your social construct, that should cultivate your understanding of politics, your education, everything that you are. There should be proof and evidence of what that word does for you. We didn't get a fair trial of that with Christianity because of the way that it was systematically put. We still fought through that and produced strong, beautiful Christians who did a lot for us. Harriet Tubman, I mean, that's my history too. It's not a Muslim Christian thing. That was a Christian woman who came and got us up out of there. So I don't even like the question in a way. However, like brother was saying, the critical thing of what Islam brought, it challenged everything head up. And it produced a reality for us that you can't run from. It actually helped the Christian conversation. Without Malcolm going as hard as he did, Malcolm creates a choice that makes them look at Martin, who they didn't like, and then they go, we don't like Martin, we won't do it, but we really don't like Malcolm. So
what's up?
Teachable moment. Can you explain who Malcolm X was?
Malcolm
and what he
X. Okay, I got you. So basically, Malcolm X did the opposite of what Martin Luther King did. Martin Luther King was mostly for we're doing this non-violent. He was a non-violent Protestant movement, you know what I mean, where they march the streets and they're just marching, you know, holding their signs. Malcolm X took a different approach, you know what I mean? He mostly did he was definitely a strong leader, you know what I mean? He was on the self-defense, you know what I mean? Because, you know, as black people, they were always getting abused and beat up by cops and all that other stuff. Malcolm X challenged that, because Malcolm X, I mean, obviously they didn't like, you know, getting beat. They was like, this non-violent stuff is not going to work. You know what I mean? They were like, we will defend ourselves. You feel me? We are going to fight back, you know? So they got, you know, whole army. They're like the Black Panthers, basically. You know, I always refer to the Black Panthers because I know more about the Black Panthers than Malcolm and Martin. I ain't gonna lie. You feel me? You most definitely have heard me talk about the Black Panthers a lot. You feel me?
Indeed.
So, you know, I really do like the Black Panthers. They're very dope, you know, because they weren't on the non-violent kick. They were on that I'm going to defend myself. Malcolm and the Black Panthers were saying we will defend ourselves. We will not stand to just get beat by cops and everything like that. You feel me? In a time where cops could basically get away with killing black people. You feel me? And even if they had 100 witnesses, they could still get away with it. You know what I mean? Which is why they said we're going to defend ourselves with guns by any means necessary. You feel me? I'm pretty sure that's what Malcolm said. By any means necessary. Yeah.
Okay.
We got to do Martin, because every time we hurt him and we do something against him and do something against them, then we send more towards the Malcolms and we send more towards this side. So what Islam did, especially through the Nation of Islam, is it gave us a pride about who we are as being black. It took us and decided that we could ultimately do so much together, and that it could build us, and then it created a reality that worked with that. And I gotta say a name specifically, through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who through the 30s all the way to 1975 ran an unparalleled run. He went in, he got put in the jails for wars that we're dealing with right now. When World War II came, he was one of the first to be set in jail to even bring the Quran inside of jail. By the time he's coming out, he's got more of us off of drugs, more of us off of drinking, more of us pushing marriage together. And then he produced a Black Wall Street for us while we were here. He was just never credited. He created more world leaders out of us. He created culture for us based on where we were at, and never really tried to deny that, you know, the Christianity in us and the greatness in us, but to pull the best out of us for that. Yeah. By the time desegregation is coming and Elijah Muhammad is saying integration is a hypocritical trick, he was trying to tell us that there's nothing wrong with integrating, but there's things that have to be done before you do that. If they're set forward for hundreds of years and we're set down for hundreds of years, when we integrate, we're going to integrate like this. And after integration, we found ourselves in ghettos and hoods all across the country, but ultimately we didn't have the need to want to build what we already had, because now we had already had the idea that we needed to be with them, that ultimately if we get to eat with them, we get to where we want to be at. Islam, by the way it was pushed through black people, was trying to counter everything that we eventually ran into. Every problem that we deal with today, it was fighting it and producing a reality to show that we can do this on our own and to give ourselves a certain level of respect. And to say that by the end of Martin Luther King's reign, he does the speech of I Have a Dream in 1963. Then he comes outside of that and we're getting integration, we're moving, but he starts to realize it is a hypocritical trick. They're not giving us no level of reparations. They're giving people out of Ireland land and all these different things, but they talked us into the idea that after everything we went through, we have been liberated because we can kiss white girls. So now it's like, so then by 66, he meets with Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad tells him, we got to qualify ourselves and make them give to us what they owe us. He started changing his narrative. And from 66 to 68, Martin Luther King became a different kind of person. They murdered him, and then by the time we were born, they resurrected his name, but left it under the dream that he had in 1963, but not what he had gave us between 66 and 68 when he was marching back on Washington to get our check. Everything that even the reverends were finding out based off of what they were taught, Islam and the black Muslims constantly warned, constantly built, constantly tried to tell them that eventually we would become what we are in the 80s, drug babies, Crips, Bloods, Ratchets, still beautiful, but ultimately
divided.
Yeah, because oh my God,
that was poetic.
Yo, like who is this guy? Who is that? I need to look this dude up. Like he literally just went on a whole spill. This dude starts spitting, bruh. Like I need to look this guy up. Oh my God. I'm gonna look him up later after this, because this dude got some knowledge on him, you feel me?
Because, and last thing I want to say, from King, after he had spoke with Elijah Muhammad and had been around, I love what he said. He said, I found that it's not the KKK that is necessarily the biggest problem.
Right.
It's the moderate whites who are more concerned with order than they are with justice. And that was the idea that we were trying to push across, was there got to be justice.
Yeah.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, because I gotta talk about this. Because right back again at the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers had that same agenda where you have those, and I remember when you was talking about like how the government was like all corrupt and everything like that, and I started talking about the Black Panthers and stuff. I cannot stress this enough. The Black Panthers had something figured out, you know what I mean? And they realized that even if they do, you know what I mean, try to use the laws in their advantage, you know what I mean, even if they do cultivate a big group and try to use the laws at their advantage, the government always tries to win. You know what I mean? The government was not there. They figured out that the government was not there to help them. You feel me? Which is why they did. It's crazy how this like turned into something totally different. Like this isn't even about Christians and Muslims anymore.
Even actually now thinking, even since historically speaking, when like going way back to like, you know, Neolithic and Paleolithic, they created government to control us.
Right.
It wasn't for justice or none of that. It was solely to control us and to make sure we weren't trying to be like higher than one another. Like they were trying to make sure we were all in one spot.
Right. They were trying. Yeah, you said it perfectly. You know what I mean? Divide us up into groups, you know what I mean, called the KKK, the Black Panthers, all that other stuff, you know what I mean? And then control us from there, you feel me? We'll do the rest to ourselves, you feel me? It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the people are fighting back and forth. They're just in the back making sure everyone's focused on problems instead of the actual root of the problem.
Right, exactly, you feel me? Government is not here to help us, you know? That's why I like the Black Panthers so much, because they let me just split the video play. Jesus Christ, I'm about to go dumb.
And now, for what they used to do back then with Christianity is what we do in politics now. They use politicians to create order, but not to give us justice.
Right. Oh my God.
Christians, I think the slaves, the abolitionists, they got us free under the banner and the foundation of Christianity. I agree. I believe that. I also believe that the way that the Black church has continued, and not all Black churches, but I have to use this general sense, the way that the Black Big C church as a whole has moved forward, we have not been as sustainable as the Black Islamic movement. In Christianity as a whole, skin color and race is a way secondary conversation.
Islam as a whole, it is too, just to say.
Sure.
But
sure.
Our war was race here. We didn't make it that. They made it.
Right, I agree. The age-old Malcolm versus Martin, we have to, remember that they were both killed. They were both assassinated, right? For how they, walked out their lives and how they walked out their movements. They were both saying things that challenged the establishment. When we're having the conversation about Black church versus Black Islam within the communities, is that each one within their traditions are not mutually exclusive. They can coexist. I know this because I have family who are Muslims, and they come to every Thanksgiving and they skip over the ham. You know what I'm saying? Right. They ask if the greens got turkey necks or if it got ham hocks in it. You know what I'm saying? Like they completely they skip over that, and nobody looks at them differently. When we're mostly Christian, so when we sit at the Thanksgiving table, we pray in Jesus' name. They bow their heads, and they're reverent of that. So for example, if you guys right now were to take Salat, right? Like I would bow my head, and I'd be respectful of that. I'm saying this as someone who also has been a vocational worship minister for 12 years. Like, the Black church has given me a place to live out my purpose, right? It's given me a place to live out what I believe is a calling from God.
All right, so I ain't gonna lie. Dude over here, I just want to say this. Yo, shout out to whoever this dude is. I'm already talking about shout out. I'm barely even, I need somebody to shout me out. You feel me? I'm over here, I only got 54 subscribers. Shoot,
acting like you're sponsored.
Right. This dude over here be cooking, man. Like, he's spitting straight facts, you know? Let me Jesus Christ.
I think both, in part, they do honestly like good things for the community, right? In whatever way we kind of value that. But I don't necessarily think we're there yet. That being said, I mean, we're still in the conditions that, you know what I'm saying? We're still in the poverty mindset. And then versus, you know, in a spiritual aspect, when I see movements like the Nation of Islam, yes, they do a lot of great things, but you know, me being a little bit biased in my perspective and my views, it's like, are they really in the right way? So it's hard to really decipher like what religion is doing good things because of how am I gonna value what that good thing is?
The levels of discipline and levels of infrastructure that I've been taught while being in Islam, the Quran speaks on for people within the faith. And those are things that tie a lot of what I want to see within the Black community. A lot of self-built infrastructure, a lot of self-discipline that helps build us as people. That's more so what I was thinking. And it's so, like we're all saying, it's so minute. I don't even really truly see it as like, oh, they did so much more than this, because we're all contributing our own way. And I think it's just only separation I see was a difference that I saw within the two was like, I did grow up, and again, this is super just personal. I saw a family member, I'd rather say, when they came born again. I saw how they were treated within the church, and they were not treated in a way, they were condemning things of her in a way I didn't see within like the Islamic faith. That's the only thing.
Where I'm from, there ain't as many Black people. I'm from Seattle, and so we probably have like a 3 to 4% of Black people. But within that, I've seen Black churches rise up for the community in ways I've never seen before. In Seattle, there was a Reverend, the late and great Reverend McKinney, who actually went to college and was close friends with Dr. Martin Luther King. And through Reverend McKinney, Dr. King came to Seattle and they did protest and they created centers and job opportunities for Black people so that there was opportunities for them. I think the reason why I lean more towards the Black church, outside of the fact that I'm a Black woman, a part of the Black church, is simply the fact that I've never seen the Black church do something for the Black community at the cost of discounting another community. Like, I think the vein of I look at the vein of which things are done in, and I think the Black church has always done it in the vein of, we're aware that there's resources and things that we need that we're not being allotted systematically. So we're gonna provide that. And there's this, it's called the social gospel. It's like a practice that Dr. King subscribed to, as well as Dr. McKinney, which was that, like, how can we lead people to Christ if their bills aren't paid, if their car notes aren't paid, if they can't feed their kids? How can we lead them? What would make them want to even come to the church in the first place if all their natural necessities aren't met? And so in that way, that's where the Black church stepped in and was like, we're charged with the assignment and the obligation to meet those needs because we have those resources.
Oh my God. Says so many words. You can't lead nobody if you the one that's walking blind. They got this freaking ad. I don't care about your ad. Morgan and Morgan. If y'all need, isn't this like a car insurance company? I don't know. Y'all need insurance, go Morgan and Morgan, I guess.
Me, I'll get this triple shot macchiato. Skim milk? Try this. Alright. You're gonna make it.
Oh my gosh, how are you gonna hit us with like 2 ads?
Homosexuality is a sin.
Homosexuality is a sin. Ooh, that's a good, man, I got some good questions out here.
Only one person? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's okay, no, it's two people.
Oh, two.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's two. You got anything you want to say about that? Just before they...
I personally believe it is a sin. Like I said, I'm the type of person who hate the sin, not the sinner.
Right.
Just to throw that out there. But yeah.
Right. Okay, that's morally correct. You feel me? Homosexuality is a sin. Me personally, I do think that is a sin. You know what I mean? I do think that is... I'm gonna just say I do think that is a sin. You know, I'm gonna leave it at that too. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I agree with the prompt that homosexuality is a sin.
Oh wait, okay, no, I disagree actually.
Okay. like most things that we've talked about, it's been politicized in a way that we look at homosexuality as like the worst thing you can do. And because you look at it in that certain like context and in that certain way, it's super easy to divide, right? It's super easy to divide people and say these people believe that gay people are going to hell. These people don't. I don't see, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong if you don't believe this, but I believe that the general Christian belief is that homosexuality is a sin, yes, but all sin are equal before God.
Yes.
And so, and because of that, it's no more a sin than being a liar.
Yeah.
It's no more of a sin than being a murderer. It's no more of a sin than any other sins that we commit. For us as Christians, there is no sliding scale of what sin is. All of it is unrighteousness before God. God is holy, period. He has to judge it all.
Yeah.
So that's the Christian belief.
Islamic law is a little different.
Okay.
Without getting too technical, number one, there are grades. You have minor and major sins. So, but the term in and of itself, sin, how is it defined in our perspective? So the first thing, again, this is very general. What God says to do, and to do what he says do, or to perform what he says do, then that would be a good thing.
Right.
To do opposite of what he says to do would be a sin. That's very general. But when we take a closer look at those things that he commands of us to do, they're not arbitrary. They don't serve, like they're not without purpose. So ultimately, everything that God commands us to do and avoid, they center on 5 things: the preservation of life, intelligence, lineage, property, religion. So, like for example, we can't engage in any type of intoxicant, solid, liquid, or gas. That's because it devalues or it affects the healthy functioning of our minds, let alone our bodies. So that's the preservation of intellect and life. Fornication is a sin. Adultery is a sin because that violates the sacredness of family and lineage. So homosexuality is seen as a means by which the sacredness, because it's not just lineage and family, the sex act in and of itself is how family life initiates.
Yes.
But not only that, I would add even further, it's sort of like a philosophical unfolding, because really, if we could sort of follow the logic to its conclusion, if we were to engage in the taking of life to the extreme, then there would be no people. I'm talking about murder.
Right.
If we would allow for intoxication to just run rampant, no less is true with homosexuality. Most of these things that we consider to be major sins, if we look at them and we can sort of estimate what would the ultimate outcome be if this act was engaged in without any limits or boundaries, this would ultimately bring about the collapse of society.
So here's what the books say, because when you say the word sin, and we're talking about scriptures, right? So based off of the scriptures, it kind of made it pretty clear from what I've seen in the scriptures. Now, how I choose to operate and how I choose to move, that's determined on how I interpret it and how I understand it. So if you ask me a straight question, is it sin? Yeah, the book says that. Does it determine whether if my brother is homosexual that I don't love my brother?
Hold on, bro. No, because I like how straightforward this guy is. You know what I mean? This dude spit facts. You know what I mean? Like, this is how, if I was on here, bro, this is how I would be. You know? Like, what the heck? This dude over here, he came on here with an agenda. He knew what he was about, and he was standing on it. You know what I mean? That's what I like. That's dope. You know what I mean? Brody's standing on business. All I wanted to say, though. You feel me? Shoot. That's nice.
Determine that if somebody starts, attacking us, that I ain't fighting for him. It doesn't determine that, I know the book says a lot about mercy. I know the book says a lot about grace and a lot of things. So for me, it's like, if you ask me a straight question, see, that's the problem where I think this country has shifted things a little bit, because then they'll, it's like, we'll all be like, okay, what I just said, I love him, so this is my people. No, I'm standing together. James Baldwin's my brother. What y'all want to say? He did more for me than a lot of people who claim to be Muslim, so, well, however, don't bully the pastor into marrying a same-sex couple if that's not his belief.
That's
so
right.
that's where we got to split the line of he
Thank
believes this
you
based
for
off of
saying
his
that.
book.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for saying
find
that.
somebody who, you know, wants to marry you, but don't bully people out of their beliefs. And that's the part where we have to draw the line and say, based off of the book, it is.
And I
Heavy
want
emphasis.
to get into that. I think when it comes to, for us, you know, for us, Islamic law is legal and ethical. So these are moral questions. They're not just questions of law. But one of the bases of how we analyze these issues is a teaching of our prophet. In English, his actions are judged by intention, or actions are by intention, and for every person is what he intends. I think that the question of, or just the statement in and of itself, is this act wrong? There's a black and white yes or no. But then there's an analysis of the circumstance of the person. They've done studies and they've discovered that so many people who engage in such and such behavior, they were the victims of sexual assault, sexual abuse. And I think that from the standpoint of mercy and loving human beings, because there's another teaching, none of you truly believes until you love for your brother what you love for yourself, like the golden rule. I think that oftentimes we as religious people in this society, well, maybe in the world, we're guilty of it. We're not merciful in looking at the conditions that have shaped people. So we kind of just draw from a black and white book of do's and don'ts without really taking the time and concern to know that human being. So that's I wanted to add that to because it's not just law. And
the Bible says, do not despise my children, for there are angels for them that never leave the face of God. So like the way I interpret that is, you know, do not despise my children. Do not hate on somebody for their sinful ways, because they have angels that never leave the face of God. They have angels professing to God about them, saying like, God, please like allow this person into my kingdom or into your kingdom. And I think that I stayed back because, you know, I have very, very important people in my life who are in the LGBTQ community. And, you know, as a man, like, I don't want to be like, oh, they're sinning. So like in my thought process, like homosexuality is not a sin in my mind that I was thinking. It's the act.
Okay, so basically,
of being homosexual, if that makes sense. Like the sexual.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you were saying, Jocelyn, when you was like, it's not necessarily the sinner, but the actual sin itself that's wrong. You feel me? And it also sounds like they're basically, some of them, they're saying that it's the sinner, not the sinner, and we shouldn't be like, the other dude, you know, for anybody who would be kind of confused right now, you know, because I know they're saying a lot, it can be a lot to take in. Basically, they're saying don't hate the sinner, you know what I mean, hate the sin itself, you know, and that's that's at least what I'm getting from everything that they're saying, you know what I mean, and don't ridicule anybody just because they are sinning, you feel me? Because it's basically, well, at least I think that it's not their fault that they're sinning. You feel me? We are born a sinner, so You feel me? But yeah, just to help any of my viewers who might be confused or anything like that.
The sexual acts and stuff like that. So when he said no sin is greater than any other, so like being homosexual, although it is a sin, it's similar to other sins. I was like, you know, I have to go out there because I do believe that. And, you know, I think that sometimes people can get caught up in the idea that, you know, Christians are hating on the LGBTQ community. That is not what that is. It's the fact that, you know, like I care for their souls. Because in the Bible, it also says the wages of sin is death. Death. Like he said, flesh and blood will not go to the kingdom of heaven. Your soul is there. And that's something that I'm passionate about, and I care about these people. Like I care about all you guys and all your souls, because God calls for me to do that. So I think that this discussion, you know, again, has been politicized so much that we can't actually have real conversations like this. But you definitely like kind of like got me to come up here.
I think it's also, I appreciate you. I think also because of that, like there's this temptation to assume that Christians are self-righteous because we want them to be saved, right? Like, oh, you're self-righteous because you think you have all the answers or anything like that. And that's furthest from the truth. Jesus says, like, why do you talk about the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in yours? First take the log out of your eye, and then you'll be able to see clearly that there's a speck in your brother's eye. I think what he's trying to say here, I think what Jesus is trying to say is, neither one of you qualify for holiness. Neither one of you qualify for righteousness. And And because I'm here, I'm being Jesus, because I'm here as the embodiment of holiness and righteousness and perfection, I have a righteousness that you don't have. And so the whole premise of Christianity and the whole premise of the gospel is culminated in 2 Corinthians, where he says, he that knew no sin became sin so that we might become the righteousness of God.
Yes. Yeah.
My gay cousin's mad at me. No.
Got about 700 bucks.
So I want to say what I disagree with is the intent of the prompt and the narrative around the prompt. And I've done a lot of studying around different religion in general. It's different religion, and even I've done different practices myself. This is what I've come to the conclusion of. In general, of any sex that is outside of the intent of procreation, if you really look at it, it's a form of sin. It's either adultery, it's whatever it is, it's some form of sin. To put all of that and to put it to just homosexuality as a sin is what I disagree with. And I think it's a very targeted narrative, essentially. What was I about to say? If you really look at it, and I think it really gets targeted towards our communities. I wish the problem was the other way around, so I go forward to say this, because I'm very protective of both the Islamic and the Christian communities and the viewpoints of it. Because realistically speaking, if you think about a monk who goes by the same sexual laws, if you really think about it, they don't have any sex outside of the purpose of procreation. They are not, they're not attacked in any the same kind of way that Christians and Muslims are. At the end of the day, I see it as we do have, as we all know, like there's 4 angels that are with us, and there's a spiritual body within us, and our spiritual body can only grow through the practice of self-discipline. And sex in general is a form of temptation. It is a temptation, and it's literally at your root. It's literally like what some people believe they call the root chakra. It's literally, it stays at your base, and you can't grow outside of temptation. You can't grow in discipline with sexual acts, without fasting, things like that. So it's just to put it to all of this as to just homosexuality, and I can't stay with that.
Yeah, I look at that, like I heard what you said about the homosexual is not a sin, but like the sexual act. But same with Christian and Muslim, like let's be real, for real, some of them are performing sexual act. I know current Muslim, so that's why I disagree with that too. And also I have a friend who is a current Muslim, who prays 5 times a day, does Ramadan, everything, and is gay. So I feel like what gives me the right to judge people or what they like, you know? It doesn't like, I know it's a sin, yes it is, but like only Allah can judge them, not anybody else here. Nobody, none of you guys can judge anybody or what they are, they're gay, whatever, what it is. Nobody can judge them. That's why I disagree with that situation.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think we're judging though.
Yeah, I don't think
I got a question.
I think we are.
No, yeah, you are, because
I
it's a sin.
I'm saying it's a sin. I'm not judging that person.
She didn't necessarily, like, I'm assuming she didn't necessarily get it. You know, I don't really know. You know, it was like they weren't necessarily judging anybody. You feel me? They were saying what it is. They were just trying to say a fact. You know what I mean? That the homosexuality part of it is a sin, and it's not judging the person. You feel me? You're just saying what they're doing is a sin. You feel me? So, yeah. You feel me? According to their religions, at least. You feel me? So, yeah. I don't know where my homegirl went, but she disappeared. I'm gonna go try to see what's up, see what happens.
Brandon.
What's up?
What happened?
I don't know. Your mic had glitched out, I think. I don't know what happened. And then it you had went mute or something.
Oh, because on my screen, on my side, it was showing that you were trying to connect or the Wi-Fi or something.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, is that all you had to say though? Is that you get your statement at? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All
do not despise my children. I do not despise them.
I'm saying
not
it's the
judging
same
them.
thing. But look, it's the same thing.
God is the only one that can judge. I'm not judging them. I'm judging the act.
No, but you said this. What is the
Right,
act?
and
Same thing with Christianity and Messianity. Like, you say the same
what
thing.
I'm saying
like,
is sexual sin, right, is a sin.
but
Period. Point
Christianity
blank.
can, they can do sexual acts too, right?
So
We can't, not outside of
same with
marriage. Not
Muslims.
outside of marriage.
oh,
on
really?
real
They don't do that outside of marriage.
hold on.
No,
hold on,
okay,
hold on
so
real
in
quick.
Christianity,
Same with, I'm not saying only Christianity and Islamic too. They
I
can
understand, I'm
have
here with
sex
you.
out of marriage too, without getting married too.
Can you
True or
define?
false?
Can you define judge for us?
Huh?
Can you define judge?
Like
When you
judging
say-
someone, like trying to like put your own opinion on someone, like saying like it's a sin, like you're like making it seem like it's a thing where like how do I put it?
to condemn someone on the basis of their own
Somebody
opinion.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
yeah,
clarifying.
And I don't
that's
think
what-
we have
yeah.
the right to condemn.
Right.
Because that's what I was saying earlier regarding we don't know a
That's what
person's
I'm trying to say
circumstance.
too, yeah.
But I think we make judgments all the time. And I think that oftentimes, and I don't know if this is a modern American, Western cultural phenomena, we've kind of shied away from religion. Religious people. If we're religious people, we live our religion on this earth. Religion
Right.
was, as in our view, in Islam, the revelation comes, as it came to the prophets before, to show us how to actually live in this space and in this time.
That's right.
And it's not just to make us be in good condition for when we die.
Yeah.
But I think what it is it comes to is because even technically we're not supposed to. I get what you're saying where we do judge, but even that is something we're not supposed to do as well,
Exactly.
right?
We,
And
we
I
are,
think
we
it's-
are,
That's
though.
my
We
point that I
are.
was
We
trying to say.
actually have a law. We actually have a law. We have lawyers. We actually have, like, you can take somebody
but
to get
the thing is
for problems.
we're not
for
supposed to
issues.
judge or condemn. We're not the judge during
Yeah, it's not our
execution.
right to
But,
do that.
We go so much on the specific narrative of our books of what we are taught.
Exactly.
And how many of us in here have really said to ourselves, okay, let me actually study this, not just in the initial language, the difference in speech of that time period. Take into account that there's intent with how this book is written for us to take on. What also is the reasoning and the intent of this being a sin versus this being moral? What actually comes down to this? Why is this study here? How many of us really study deep in the history and the
Yeah.
theology?
That's my
Please.
point.
I want to say, off the basis of the question, the straight question is it a sin? I didn't hear no one in here say it's not. When you guys walked in, you said like you gave a definition of anything outside of procreation, and it fell within that definition. So when I sat down, there was a yes or no answer that came in. I sat with, well, damn, you put me there. If they would have took something else and said it's fornication a sin.
Why are we singling?
This is why I like this dude, cause I swear he is the realest person on there. I don't know what, like, cause oh my god, I ain't even gonna explain it. You know, this guy's just the realest dude on there. Shoot.
Them out. Why is the
And then of course they gonna hit me with an ad.
We like there's so much things we have not even learned. Like they're like I know so much gay people myself, LGBT, in all forms of the spectrum, and a lot of them they ask why am I this? Like there's so much questions of trying to understand, and I think we need to allow a space for gay people to just be them, and if science comes to a place of understanding why I was not even just why they're born gay, but why I
So
am
you
born
reject the
straight.
premise
Why
of
was
the
I
problem.
also born straight?
I think that homosexuality is a unique sin, and I think that that's something that is maybe younger people or whatever. I'm probably not as young as you all are, but I can speak on behalf of Islam, and I'm not trying to say this is what I'm feeling. I'm saying that we make judgments. We have a system of belief. Now, individuals have their sensitivities. That's different. I'm saying this is what Islam says, and I'm not the one to condemn. Say, oh, you think that way as a Muslim? You're not. That's not what we're doing. But I think it should be clear that no, the religion is pretty straightforward on some. There's a lot of variation. There's a lot of room for difference of opinion. But there's some very straightforward positions that we don't really budge on.
Right.
The other side
Okay. That was pretty straightforward, you know what I mean? They could have ended that a long time ago, but yeah.
has more extremists than my side.
The other side is more extremist than my side.
Wait, what do they mean by that? Like
Extremist. Like, I'm assuming they mean extremist as in how extreme is your religion? You know what I mean? How die hard.
Like for example, like historically how they did like the Crusades and like they were actually like fighting for their religion type
Dang, I
stuff.
see how you could get confused on it because now I'm confused. what they mean by
Yeah, that's what.
extremist. Because at first I
Yeah.
was thinking like when they say extremist, I'm thinking like, okay, like which one has like more extreme practices, which one is more die hard, which one do you have to do more for. That's what I was thinking by extremist. Like you have to be extreme.
I thought extremist was like how far are they willing to go for their religion is what I thought.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting. I don't really know. Let's see what they say.
Okay. They don't have more extremists than my side. The other side, if you're saying black Muslims, not at all. But when it comes to who's the power players of the world at the moment, it's America. America is the most powerful nation in the world. And they clone themselves under the idea of Christianity. Like I said, Christianity doesn't have extremists, but the way that they use that, they use that to make it look like Muslims are extreme, to be honest. So there's wars happening right now under many different, religious ideas, but this side in America is really good at pushing propaganda that makes them seem like they're fair seeming or like everything is okay. But unfortunately, using the idea of Christianity, they pretty much have taken over the world in that regard. There's extremism in everybody. So I don't think there's such thing as a Christian extremist. I don't think there's such thing as a Muslim extremist. I just think there's extremists who are working for somebody else. But unfortunately at this time, I don't, dropping bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing over 120,000 civilians with a snap. That's a big thing to just be able to do, and then to color over and just act like, oh, it's just war or it's just politics. So yeah, I do think that.
I feel like this dude, okay, this dude is giving me more revolutionary vibes. Like this dude is a revolutionary. This guy is against America. He's probably not against America, He's against America. You feel me? Like this dude became a Muslim because of America. You know what I mean? Cause I don't know if it's just me, because I didn't hear anything that had to really do with just heavy religion. You feel me? Because America, they use religion as a freaking control tactic. So. Well, I guess that's what he means, though.
Yeah.
Like America using the religion as a control tactic to make it seem like, okay, this is just it's just okay. It's okay. It's regular. You feel me? So yeah, I get what he's saying then.
That it was utilized in a very strong way, producing extremists. It just doesn't look branded as extremism. One of the first slave ships to come pick up black people in Africa was named Jesus. So a big part of what they did, if you look back at the KKK and the Ku Klux Klan, they were burning crosses.
Right.
So they didn't separate it from the idea of religion. Now, there's the world and there's what's going on with the world. I'm black, or called a so-called African American. So what's happening with extremism in the world is what's happening in the world. I can only speak from my experience. And from my experience, they used Christianity more than they used anything else to tear us down and to burn us down.
Right.
They used it through slavery. They used it through Jim Crow. That wasn't Muslims. That was white people under the disguise of Christianity. They pushed way more extremism with that than any other religion.
I feel like this dude came on here, right? This dude came on here with an agenda, and I can tell. You know what I mean? Because I love it. You know what I mean? I love it. This dude over here, and I like how he kind of circles it all back to Christianity and how it reflects to their religion. You know what I mean? So basically he's saying like, dang, what was I finna say? Hold on, let me see what he said real quick, because I forgot what he said.
Religion, Christianity. That wasn't Muslims. That was white people under the disguise of Christianity. They pushed way more.
So yeah, because I feel like he walked up here, but it sounds like he's saying that Christians are more extreme. You know what actually no. Okay, so guys, I was being a bit slow. He was supposed to be saying that Christians are more extreme. I didn't at the time fully understand what the prompt was, because I be thinking a lot. But yeah, anyways, like, subscribe, comment, I'm out. I'm assuming he's saying that America is trying to act like they're Christian to control the rest of people, but they're not actually Christian, which is why Muslims are more extreme. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out why he actually walked up there, if he thinks that Christians are more extreme because of like the whole slavery and Jim Crow and all the racial things that happened under those laws. But this is just assumption, you know what I mean? I don't really know. So let's just see. You got anything else you want to say, Jocelyn?
Not right now.
Okay, cool.
More extremism with that than any other religion here.
I didn't step forward because I think that human beings are human beings, and human beings tend to go to extremes. Islam,
right.
Christianity, other things, Hinduism.
That's
you can
what I was
see,
kinda
you can look
thinking.
across the spectrum of history. You can look throughout the world today. Even secular ideas, they're always used as tools for people who are driven to extremes. So I think it would be unfair to say one side is more extreme than the other. I've met Muslims that scare me, their position, their thinking, their view of the world. And then I'm obviously, the history that Marquise just recounted is very important. I mean, my grandfather moved up from Little Rock, or outside of Little Rock, Forest City, to Chicago as a part of the Great Migration because of the extreme circumstances that our foreparents faced in the racist South. So, yeah, that's it. I think it would be unfair to say one side is more extreme than the other.
America specifically, though, I think when you remove the blinders, you're aware of what the agenda is. And I think, like you said, Christianity is the most used in a deceptive way that doesn't align with what we actually believe to cause all these negative and wicked things to take place in our society today. And I think that the reason why it's Christianity that's always pointed and demonized is because Jesus being the one and only true living God.
I think.
I don't know if that's what he said. Let me repeat what she just said, because I don't know if I understood that.
Is because Jesus being the one and only that's always pointed and demonized is because Jesus being the one and only true living God.
I don't know if I can agree with what she just said. I mean, I don't know if that had anything to do with really what he said, because he didn't say that it's demonized because of that. The guy that was kind of going off on the Christianity and America and everything like that, he was mostly saying that it's demonized because of how they used it. You know what I mean? Not because of who their God is and what their God is. You know what I mean? Or what they see God as. You feel me? At least that's what I got, and I'm assuming, I guess she got something. I don't know. You feel me? I don't know if I'm thinking of it wrong. You feel me? But yeah, you feel me? I think the other guy was saying it was demonized because of how America used Christianity to control the people. You know what I mean?
I think we have to take a look at what the outworking of that extremism produces, right? The two things that come to mind are 9/11, of course, right? But I hold that in tension because I've never seen, me personally with Muslims in my family, I've never seen a black Muslim be violent. I've just never seen it, me personally. I've seen black Hebrew Israelites be very violent and very aggressive, but I wouldn't consider them black Christians either, right? That's the first thing I think about. And then the second thing I think about is the Charleston 9 back in 2015, when Dylan Roof goes in and shoots up a Bible study. Like extreme action is predicated upon extreme ideologies, and that can be found anywhere. I wouldn't.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't feel like this is a really good prompt for real, because there, like, this could be, like, you could label anybody as extreme, you know what I mean? There's just not enough people who do, like, one extreme thing, you feel me? Like, Muslims, they keep bringing up, like, the fact, you know, like, black Muslims, and I guess that's really the only thing that they can really talk about since they're black themselves, you know what I mean? And black Christians, because they're black, obviously. You don't really see, at least I don't, you know what I mean? I don't really see too much extremity coming from, like, black Muslims or black Christians. You know what I mean? Now, have there been some extreme stuff that probably has happened? Yes, most definitely. But there is just not like a wide spread of just crazy stuff. Like, and I know what you were saying, like with the Christians Crusades. You know what I mean? You could label that as extreme, but that doesn't necessarily happen like just, you know, over and over consecutively. That's what I think of as extreme. That was like a one-time thing and then it was over. You know what I mean? We don't have like Christian, well, I don't actually know, but
well,
you know.
Based on my knowledge, the Crusades were basically, in case for your viewers who don't know, the Crusades were a holy fight for the Holy Land, which was like Jerusalem. And basically it was the Muslims and the Christians fighting against each other, claiming that that was their holy land and that it was theirs, so they were going to take it. And so they were fighting each other for that land.
Right.
And they were fighting it for like many years. I don't exactly know how many years, but I know that it wasn't just like one big war, like for example like World War One and then it stopped. It was more like it happened like a bunch of times until it eventually stopped.
Right.
But I think even now, if I'm correct, I might be mistaken, but isn't Jerusalem right now and like Israel still in a war?
I think so. That's why I stopped myself, because I was thinking about it like, dang, hold on, I don't even know this. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. I know Israel and Palestine are at war, but I don't think it's probably like nothing big, huh?
Search up what was the reason of the war right now. I hate how it doesn't just give a straight answer.
Right, like I'm over here looking for just something. Like this is bring my homegirl on my. This is why I have to bring my homegirl on these freaking videos more. You feel me? Dang. Somebody, yes, please educate us on, you feel me, the whole Christian and Muslim and Israel and Palestine and why they're fighting and everything like that. You feel me? Because I forgot. You know, I just know that war has been a thing. But yeah, let's continue the video. You feel me? We have those interventions on this channel. You know, they're interesting. You feel me?
I didn't say that Muslims are more extreme than the others, but I would also say that you cannot find this level of extremism in the person of Christ as well.
And I want to clarify that
Facts.
whenever I'm speaking, that's why I like that the first question was what it was. It's never about what Christ did. I agree with, I don't know who said it, I'm sorry, but you talked about who he is and the power of he and why it's utilized. So to me, I'm pointing out that it is being utilized. Not him, but because of the importance of who he is, it became what they used to systematically put us where we're at.
Sure.
And they used that specifically. And so for me, it's not and then you use that to vilify. Right now, what we know about terrorism when it comes to Islam, we're not sure if we know the terrorism of Islam or if we know what propaganda was given to us about it. When you said 9/11, you know, there's questions around what really happened there, questions.
Right.
But with it, okay, Iraq had nothing to do with it. We run there and start ripping them apart.
Like, he's spitting facts. People think the freaking president did the whole 9/11 thing just to start a war, so crazy.
Find no weapons of mass destruction, you know, but that's not seen as terrorism. That's the problem. And the problem is that it's not put out as that, because the ones who teach us what terrorism is are the ones who can go against the rule they gave to us.
I'm here with you, and I understand what you're saying. I really, really do. But because of what they're saying, like the idea that Jesus is the one and the only truly way to get to God, if I was the devil, what would I use him as? What would I tell people? Oh, use God to do this, use God to do that, because then it starts to vilify Jesus from what you're talking about. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I find it interesting too that this question naturally is like, it creates division, right? And the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
That's right.
With that being said, I think at the end of the day, when we include conversations about like extremists and between like Christians and Muslims, at the root of it all, we're not discussing the core issue in that we do have to love our neighbor, period.
Yes.
And if we're constantly pitting, you know, our beliefs against each other, oh, y'all are, you know, you weaponizing Christ in this way, I don't think that we could really come to a middle ground.
Women are
to have the option to
Bro, how many ads are they gonna give us?
advertisements that are popping
They
up.
definitely do. They was on one of my videos actually. It was on my y'all go ahead check out that video because I think they call like the Kella Gross sisters or whatever. You feel me? They're triplets. They cool. You feel me? They was on one of my videos. They was on a sibling or dating testing my radar video. Click on my channel. You'll see. I'm not gonna explain too much. Let's see this video. It says women are empowered as men and women are as empowered as men in our religion.
Like they're equal, or
right? Like yeah. Like women are basically on the same level as men in my religion. That's what that's saying.
Okay.
word as men in my religion.
Like they have the same amount of power.
I believe that women are empowered in Christianity because in every standard of which a woman is told in the Bible to come before her husband, in that same way, the standard is the same for the husband to his wife. And so when it says woman submit to your husbands, it's also talking about how a man is to take care and cover his wife because you're under submission to God. And so in the Bible, there's no allowance of us being abused. There's no allowance of us being disrespected. And so through my faith, I don't feel like as a woman, I'm put down, disrespected, or disregarded in any type of way.
In my personal journey, I grew up under Crips, Bloods, Pimps, Thugs. And I grew up in a community where, especially in Islam and in the blackest Muslim movement that I grew up under in the nation, you couldn't tell who was what because everybody was so uniformed and cleaned up by the way that they moved. I've witnessed women who get disrespected out of their name and 100 men or 50 to 100 men show up that night. I've witnessed protocol to make sure, show up to address whatever situation has to be addressed. I was taught that a nation can rise no higher than its woman, so that's the bar that we judge nations on. That literally, no matter how great you are, how big you are, how rich you are, if it's destroying the woman, it means nothing. Well, I was taught under a culture that opens their...
You got anything you want to say about that? I know I'm about to say.
I just like his statement.
Yeah.
I love what he just said.
I do too. That was kind of lit. I want to hear that repeated because that was
destroying
dope.
Than his woman. So that's the bar that we judge nations on. That literally, no matter how great you are, how big you are, how rich you are, if it's destroying the woman, it means nothing. Well, I was taught under a culture that opens their doors, closes their doors, calls to get to the house, make sure that there's a courting set up to make sure that she's respected, that men ain't disrespecting them in any kind of way. Showing up at homes to the abusive husband who beats up the woman. I also lived in shelters as with my mother due to domestic abuse and stuff as a child for a certain amount of time. But it was the movement that came and got us out of that house first before we made our way out here and helped take care of us. So under the unique culture, and when I say black Muslims, because there's a lot of things out here that took a different direction based off of some of the things that we didn't like, the way of mistreatment of women around the world. And so there was a unique setup for black people here that made sure that we treated ours and made them the standard, not just of the black community, but for the Islamic world. That no matter what's happening in that culture, whatever that Arabian brother's doing or whatever this and the other, that our woman had just came out of slavery, came out of hell. So to set her as the bar of respect, women leaders that I grew up under, women ministers. So for me, my marriage, everything that I do is based off of what I was taught in that regard, that a nation can rise no higher than its woman.
I think we live in like a very like physical world. We judge very much based on our appearances, what we have and things like that. And I think one of them, and specifically in the conversation between like men and women, is power, right? We're not as strong as men in the physical aspect. And I think that reflects a negative view on women and how we're being perceived throughout the world.
And in the West, empowerment means you can have sex with whoever you want, dress however you want, whenever you want. To us, that just wouldn't be empowerment.
Yeah.
So if you mean, however, to edify the female in terms of her virtue, in terms of her intelligence, her, again, I'll use the expression potential and capacity for spirituality, yes. The creation of the male and the female, in our scripture, they have the same essence. They're described as having the same essence, the same soul. But the male is not like the female. That's another expression, because that's obviously the case. You know, we have the same human value, but you're in a different vessel than I'm in.
Right.
And as a consequence, the role that you play in the real world is different. But those differences are valued.
The idea that, you know, to be empowered, you have to be at the head of the church, or you have to be a pastor, you have to be, I'm sorry for my ignorance, but the head of the Muslim mosque. That's not true. We have two different types of empowerment. And that's where I think, like, you know, women are empowered to be somewhere that people now think is them being oppressed.
Right.
We've lost this idea that it's powerful to be a mother. Right. It's powerful to, you know, nurture these kids. And in the same aspects, you know, it's powerful to protect and provide. So when you come home and your wife is taking care of the kids and she didn't clean the bathroom, but you just came home from your job, don't look at her and be like, why didn't you clean the bathroom? Be like, you know what, actually, I'm gonna provide for you because you've been providing for me all day. I'm gonna go clean that bathroom because I love this God. Right. That I'm beneath, and he gave you me and these kids and blessed me. So you know what? I'm gonna provide for you because that's what God has called me to do. Those are two different types of empowerment.
I agree.
Like that, I like what he just said. It's because that's what I was kind of thinking in my head. Like there's empowerment for both people. You know what I mean? And depending on, you know, y'all's relationship and relationship with God and each other, you know what I mean? You feel me? If we're talking about like a relationship in a relationship sense where there's a man and a woman, you know what I mean? There's empowerment for both of y'all in different aspects. You know what I mean? Yeah. You feel me? So it might not be in the same areas, you feel me? Now that's where society likes to get it confused, where, you feel me, women want power in areas that they don't need power in, you feel me? Like, your empowerment is somewhere else, you're just going to the wrong place, you feel me? But I'm not gonna get too deep into that. Yeah, you feel me? I like the way that dude put it, though.
Agreed.
Anything you want to say?
No, you covered it.
Okay.
With some things I'm hearing, some things I don't agree with, but I want to tap on, like, because I think these examples are like domesticated examples, and I think that's great because, like, make a housewife out of me. But I also have seen great examples of women being called on assignment to preach, to evangelize, to do mighty things, and that being an empowerment that can only come from God. Even the church that I go to here in Los Angeles is called 1LA, and our pastor Teray Roberts, he preaches, but his wife also, Sarah Jakes Roberts, she preaches too. And Sarah can preach a house down, okay? So it's like, in that same way, we're empowered as women to be ambassadors before others for Christ as well. And I think that we play a role that allows us to be used by God to draw other people in our sensitive nature, that is empowering. And I think that touches on what Fab said concerning, like, Jesus really looking at us as his daughters. And like, anytime when I'm in any situation, like, I was blessed enough to have a really good dad. Like, my earthly father is like a really good father. And so when I'm ever in a bind and I'm thinking about, like, for instance, if I'm applying for a new job and they want to pay me less than what I think I should be paid, I think about, like, would my dad want me to get paid less than what I'm worth? Like, my earthly dad wouldn't want that. Now multiply that times 10,000. My heavenly father, there's no way he's wanting me to settle. There's no way he's wanting me to cheat myself. There's no way he's wanting me to take less than what I deserve. And so in that way, when I'm able to look at Jesus as my father, God as my father, our relation, that goes back to the relationship element of it being so much more intimate. And so I feel empowered every day by Jesus. I felt empowered to come here and speak because of Jesus. And so there's not a moment that I don't feel empowered to do things outside of myself that I naturally wouldn't do by the charge that Jesus Christ gives me.
At times, lost my...
That did look good. Okay, sorry. Next prompt. at times I've lost my faith. Okay, this is definitely interesting.
Faith.
Chris is looking like, man. Right. It happens. It happens.
My faith.
I feel like that's how you learn and you strengthen your faith if you start to question it.
Mm-hmm. I think, for me, for me, I guess I'd have to have them define what they mean by faith. I'm assuming like faith in God. I'm assuming. I feel like I believe in God. You know what I mean? Like I haven't really necessarily lost any faith, really, in God. You know.
Right. Like let me clarify what I said earlier. When I meant like how you have to question it to like learn from it. I'll say as in like question it as in like going back to the example, like the church is telling you something and you're just following it.
Right.
Be able to question it and figure out answers for yourself.
Right.
That way you can like
understand
determine
what
if
you're doing.
if that's what you want to follow or if you're gonna go a different route.
Right.
Not necessarily as in like, oh, I don't believe in God no more because this happened to me.
Right.
Be like, no, question as in like question for understanding, I would say.
Right. Like if you're like taking like teaching, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and like I said before, I'm not necessarily like a part of a religion like that. You know, don't really go to church or nothing like that. You feel me? I kind of do my own thing. I kind of lead myself. You feel me? Through discipline, and that's how I do it. You feel me? I try to find the discipline within myself, and it's worked for me so far. You know, I still believe in God and everything like that. And yeah, you feel me? Yeah, I don't know. I've never really lost faith like that. You know. Now, were there times where I was like down and out, like dang, yeah, but those were the times where I'm like, I always kind of go back to like my head thinking about God and like, dang, what would I do? What should I do? You feel me? But yeah.
I feel like each time something happens and like I just need to like think more something to like learn more. I always go back to like the Bible and the book of Job or Job. That's pronounced Job.
Job.
He went through a bunch of stuff.
He did.
Like, damn.
He did. You feel me? Because the devil was trying to test his faith.
Mhm.
You feel me? And he stayed strong. So, yeah, you know, for me, it's just been very hard for me to kind of lose faith. But I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been through enough for me to actually, you know, get to that breaking point. You know, but I don't think I ever will, you know, lose faith.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a natural human instinct, especially I'm someone who is big on just studying things and just trying to understand things. Like this is, like it's called a faith for a reason. It's called belief for a reason because I don't think we were meant to be able to be like, that is 1,000% fact. We're given this thing, we're told to believe in it. It's like, this is a faith at the end of the day. And yeah, like I'm a person who's very inquisitive and I've had my moments where I'm like, dang, what's this, that. But I'm very grateful I've been brought back to God.
Yeah, for me, like same, honestly, like I've been in and out, lost my faith, like out of like, you know, being a Muslim, like I'm just like, oh, you know, if I don't know if I believe in it, you know? So I just had to like read more of the Quran and like study and put myself back into it because there's some times where like, oh, you know what, like I just don't want to do this like, anymore. I was giving up on myself, like, but I think more being closer to like my family, like, talking to people, learning more about my religions, like I got more back into it, like wearing my hijab more. I was not doing a lot of that, like doing a lot of like bad things, like drinking, things like that, smoking, like a lot of things like that. I just had to like focus and put myself with like what matters, and that's Allah. He's number one. That's what I care about. That's like number one for me, then health and family and all of that.
Yeah. Just because we're going in the circle, I've never lost my faith that there was a God. I've never lost my faith that the God that I knew existed was the Christian God that I believe in. However, I have had things that have overstepped him. I've had idols in my life that I have put over him, whether it's school, baseball, relationships with women, anything like that. So when I say I lost my faith, I never thought that there was no God. but there is something that I worshipped instead of him.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you shall worship above him. And now, like, I'm here now. Thank the Lord. You know, I got baptized March, my junior year of college. And like, I'm almost on the verge of tears just about the grace that God gives you. Like, there's so much grace in what he gives you and how much he truly cares for you.
You can tell this guy is really
he calls us
into
his
it,
children,
man.
his children that he cares for, and that you just have a heavenly Father in this world. And I just think that, you know, losing your faith is a part of faith.
Yeah.
You know, like there are trials and tribulations in your life that you'll face, just like failure is a part of success. I don't think that you can succeed entirely in your life until you have failed. And in the same way, you can't necessarily succeed in faith and fully understand what the gift that God has given you until you've fallen from glory. For all have fallen short of the glory of God, but they are redeemed by him who came, Jesus Christ. So,
yeah, I want to piggyback off that because I agree. I don't think there's ever been a moment where I've doubted Jesus Christ. Never. And that may be because I was raised, but also I had my own experience of discovering and understanding who he is for myself. And so in that, there's definitely been moments where it's like, dang, God, you taking a long time to do this. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. Or like, dang, like this anxiety, this feeling of depression won't go away. Let me turn to a blunt. Let me turn to something else instead of me turning to God. I've had seasons where I've been there. And so I've never doubted Jesus. I think in a lot of ways, I prevented him from showing himself to be dependable in my life by jumping the gun and not waiting on him and not waiting on his perfect timing and not waiting for his perfect plan for my life. And I thank God for the kindness and the grace that he had for me during those seasons to still chase after me, to still pull me back to him, and to still show me that like I'm his child and that he cares for me and that there's nothing that I could ever do to make him not chase after me.
I piggybacking with what you guys said, like I agree. There's never been a moment where I doubted like the goodness of God. I mean, granted, were there times I had to wait a little longer than, you know, I've wanted to, of course, but I think what we need to do as Christians is be realistic about the walk, right? I mean, Jesus on the cross, he said, God, why have you forsaken me? He's not doubting the goodness of God, but I think it's just revealing to us the reality of the walk in nature. There's going to be times that, you know, we're you know, contemplating if this really is worth it, right? But you have to count the cost. And I think every time I, you know, walk in the purpose and the will of God, I see that it's worth it.
I wasn't a person who like woke up and like read the Bible or read the Quran and then was like, I believe, you know? So faith hit me differently, I think, because in life, I just was in my mother's wars, you know, and just the war of life, I caught on to a community that moved in ways throughout every community that I saw that ultimately it made things very real for me. Just like I understood the war we're in. So when I would go around people, I could see a lot where I'm like, man, people don't see what's going on. I got to see blatant lies, watch like the minister do a speech and then watch what the news would say in contrast, or talk about something that's happening out of the world or out of the country, and then see where the news doesn't even talk about that at all. So then at a certain point, my faith was built off of like kind of coming up in war. So then at a certain point, once I then started tapping into like scripture and stuff, and I'm reading, I didn't feel like I was reading it from like a history book. You know, I was taught in a way where if Genesis is yesterday and Revelation is tomorrow, then where you at in it? And you know, so once I activated, I felt like everything in this war, in this beautiful war, has enhanced my faith. But I think I also might have misunderstood the question too a little bit because I was high. So when you started bringing up other stuff about how you turned to this or turned to that, I'm like, well, maybe that did mean I was losing my faith if I was drunk at that point or smoking at that point or out there doing that. But I guess I didn't answer that way because it made sense to me that there's God. So I never lost faith in God. I could lose faith in myself sometimes.
I think for me,
I like that he said that as well. You feel me? Losing faith in yourself and not necessarily God. You know, that's you know, I get it. That's kind of dope. You feel me? I like that. You feel me? That's something. It's food for thought, for real. Because I have had times where it was like, you know, like I've been depressed before. You know what I mean? And now, I mean, of course, I didn't turn the means of doing anything else really. You know, when I'm depressed, like I'm more so, when I'm depressed, I'm more so trying to like think of, okay, how can I get out of this? You know what I mean? How can I kind of just change this? You know what I mean? So then I start thinking of like God and what can I do? You know what I mean? Not directly asking God, what can I do? Because I just don't do that. That's just me personally. I don't really, you know, ask God like questions or nothing like that. I just kind of start doing things, you feel me? Trusting that I kind of know what to do. You know what I mean? And then going with the flow. And sometimes that works. You know, no, most of the time, no, that it does work. For me, at least. You feel me? It most definitely has helped and worked. You feel me? Just kind of speaking on, like, what he was talking about, losing faith in yourself and not necessarily God. You feel me? Trusting that God already gave me the thing that I need to get out of what I'm, you feel me, feeling or how I am, you feel me? And that I don't need anything really external, you know, like drugs and all that other stuff, you feel me, alcohol and all that other stuff. I don't really need all of that, you know, and that usually works.
The season of life.
Anything you want to say?
No.
Okay.
That I'm in, my wife and I, through a season of like wondering if we're gonna conceive, if the Lord is gonna allow us to have children, if he's gonna bless us to have kids. Like, for us, that has challenged my faith more than anything that I've ever experienced in my life, to the point where, you know, my dad passed away 7 years ago, and I was the first call that his wife made when he died. And the moment I was on my way to church, I'll never forget, I was on my way to church on a Sunday morning. He passed away on a Sunday morning, and Sunday was always his like favorite day because you get to go to church, right? And I remember thinking immediately, as soon as he passed, and I got that call, oh, this was the Lord's doing. Like, I immediately thought that. And so I have more questions than I do answers in this season of life than I did when my dad died. My dad was my hero. I don't think I doubt God. I don't think currently, as I sit here today, I don't think I doubt his goodness. But I'd be lying if I say I haven't doubted his goodness. I'd be lying if I said I haven't questioned him. I think I understand the difference between questioning him and testing him. I think he welcomes the questioning. Right. But I think he's like, yo, don't test me. You know?
That was a bar.
You know what I'm saying? So I think for me personally, where I stand today, I am in one of those seasons where I pray these things. I will see your goodness in the land of the living, but you got to help my unbelief. You got to help me get there. Yeah. While I'm watching other people thrive in the land of the living, and I'm not, I need you to help me get there.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah. May God bless you.
Yeah. When I heard the question, I was thinking like the absence of belief. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking in too simplified terms. What I'm hearing, if I'm hearing you all correctly, everyone gets weary. You know what I mean? I've boxed a little bit, and you know, you get beat up. You say, man, I don't know if I'm gonna win this fight. I think that's natural. My parents were in the Nation of Islam, and they made what we call now the transition under Imam W.D. Muhammad. And I was blessed to be his student. I studied Quran and scripture directly under him. And in terms of my acceptance with certainty of the truth of Islam, it's never changed. It just hasn't. Because I think that, and I think this was hinted at a moment ago, it becomes a way of perceiving reality in and of itself, let alone, I like the expression, walking with God. God lets you know if he's present in your life. And I experience God's presence every day. At the level of just personal things, but at the level of understanding and perception. I think that's a graduation for me that makes it so real. So I've never doubted. And most of my weariness is because of people. I'm tired of these people. I was really impressed by you all's responses and you all's what you shared. But I think that how we have exchanged represents a maturity for our people. Because one of the
right.
things that I share with the I'm an imam and a teacher in Islam.
We know. We know. We fell
Yeah.
Go on.
But one of the things that I share with them in connection with this whole thing about the black religious experience, the same things that motivated the soul of a Dr. King or any great figure in the history of our people, it was the same influences also pushed Malcolm to join the nation, pushed my parents to join the nation. It was the same set of influences, it just pushed them in two different directions. And I think the commonality that they had was that they both, these two sides, they were searching for answers, they were searching for liberation, they were searching for satisfaction for their soul. And historically, it has put us at odds with one another. You know what I mean? At least for a brief time period. But I think that we're maturing into a space where we are seeing each other. And I think what you captured it, I mean, perfectly in my mind. I mean, you're right. We used to go to my grandparents' house for Christmas, and they would get us gifts, and we would take them. Yeah. And not be.
I ain't gonna deny a gift. You know,
they still, it's that respect in our community has existed, and I'm seeing it's present.
Honestly, it's beautiful to see a conversation that is, foundational on what you said earlier, peace and love, right? And I think when we continue to have conversations like this, I think it'll push the world to a better place.
Black Christian, black Muslim, black.
Yeah.
Man. That was really dope. You feel me? I like the way they kind of ended it off. You know what I mean? They ended it off on something that was actually like, that was good. You know what I mean? Like that was very, very nice. Is there anything that you really want to, add on to like what they said about the prompt or what they said afterwards about like, how they kind of matured?
I want to say that it was very. It felt good to know that like people are able to, even though they come from different religions and they stand by their religion, they're able to still come to a point where they can discuss instead of argue with one another.
Right, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I really like too. You know what I mean? They were able to actually, basically what you said. I'm not gonna repeat what you said because you said it already. Well, that's the end of the video, though. You know what I mean? Just let me talk to my subscribers really quickly, or the people who have not subscribed yet. I do this all my videos. Everybody who watches all the way through my videos, y'all know I have to get real close to my mic. Okay? If you like my mic, click the link in my bio. You can click the link and you can cop this mic. You know what I mean? It also helps me out, so please do buy it from there, from that link. It's a dope mic. It sounds great. My Instagram account, you'll also find that in the description. I do fitness on there. Now, I have my robe on right now because it is freezing cold in my room. But I would flex, you feel me? But if you go to my Instagram, you will see I do a whole lot of fitness and I am really freaking strong. Not to glaze myself, you feel me? But I'm spitting facts. And I mentioned that because I'm going to drop a Patreon soon where I have like whole workout plans and all of that to help y'all get fit. You know what I mean? Because, I really did like this video and I feel like it's a 2-hour video. I don't want to make this outro too long. So I hope y'all enjoy watching. You know what I mean? Hope y'all enjoy watching. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, you feel me? So me and Jocelyn are gonna get out of here. Yeah.